Hello everybody, this is Kai Marin, and things have gotten worse, as they always do. So, to summarize, Steam has removed several particularly extreme porn games from their platform, and itch.io has shadow banned all NSFW content and banned much of it. And it's even getting to the point where genuinely real games are getting shadow banned. So Fear and Hunger, this isn't just some gooner shit. All right, it's been delisted. If you try and search it, you don't actually find it. You get a bunch of mods, but the game itself is shadow banned. And I guess I will clarify. People were saying mouthwashing also got shadow banned, although that's not actually true. It's been delisted for over a year. Not because of censorship, it's just because it links to Steam, which is against the rules. But anyways, though, everybody fucking hates Collective Shout right now because they're realizing where this is going, and it's only going to get worse. And by the way, Collective Shout, this is the organization that got Kmart to pull Grand Theft Auto 5 from sale, in Australia at least, I guess. So look, this is really just a Trojan horse. This is how it always is, the slippery slope. They give you something that's, a reasonable demand at first. Oh, just the rape and incest games. But look, once the next round comes around, they're going to demand all porn get removed from Steam. And then they're going to move on to stuff that they find problematic, like Grand Theft Auto or, Stellar Blade or whatever. They'll go after everything else. But anyways, though, Collective Shout's been getting a crap ton of backlash. Currently, they've locked down their Twitter account, which is very interesting. But anyways, this is their official response. All right, in response to false claims and misinformation about our campaign, we're setting the record straight. Some have asked why we involved payment processors, and others have claimed we are responsible for itch.io removing all NSFW content. We raised our objection to rape and incest games on Steam for months, and they ignored us for months. Based Steam. Unironically, Steam is one of the most based companies, somehow. I guess it's just because of just kind of their culture. How it kind of survived as just like a bunch of white guys doing tech and trying to make money. But yeah, literally, the Steam HR for months was getting angry letters from fucking Australian feminists, and they just ignored that shit, sent it to the trash. Anyways, but we approached payment processors because Steam did not respond to us. We called on itch.io to remove rape and incest games that we argued normalized violence and abuse of women. Itch.io made the decision to remove all NSFW content. Our objections were to content that involved sexualized violence and torture of women. So they're basically just trying to absolve themselves of responsibility. And by the way, people are still mad at them for doing this anyway. And look, they still did get the stuff from itch.io. They still did get all NSFW content removed from itch.io, even if that wasn't specifically their intention. Because we go here, this is from the update. We have de-indexed all adult NSFW content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Scrutiny from Collective Shout, they say here, but let's just go down here. We are currently conducting a comprehensive audit of content to ensure we can meet the requirements of our payment processors. Pages will remain de-indexed as we complete our review. Once this review is complete, we will introduce new compliance measures for NSFW pages. This will include a new step where creators must confirm that their content is allowable under the policies of the respective payment processors linked to their account. Part of this review will see some pages being permanently removed from itch.io. So there still will be censorship. It's just that, eventually they will allow NSFW content back on the site. So people sort of overplay that a little bit. But still, this is still 100% their fault. And their goal still is censorship. Look, they are anti-porn. As you can see here, ban porn on X. They want to get rid of porn on X. Look, we could probably read through the article. Oh shit, there's a moth on my screen, whatever. I don't know, we'll see about this. Deliberately permits explicit content, sexual expression. See, labeling porn doesn't erase the harm it causes. It normalizes sexual exploitation, shapes harmful sexual scripts, and as we've pointed out since our inception, directly contributes to the epidemic violence against women and children. So they are explicitly against porn. And they are now targeting X, a platform which has basically always had pornography on it, and trying to get rid of it. So this is more censorship. I'm sure eventually they'll go back to Steam on itch.io and demand full removal of NSFW content. And if they have the payment processors at their beck and call, then that's guaranteed to happen. And then after they get rid of all porn, then they're going to go after all other, sexualized depictions of women. So say goodbye to Grand Theft Auto and Stellar Blade and Nier Automata. That's the whole thing. I would say, I'm not really... Look, I will say this. Porn is an ill on society, mostly. I really don't think it's as bad as a lot of the trad cons try and say it is. Porn's really just a replacement good. The reason why porn use is out of control, it's partially because of how accessible it is, but the much bigger reason is just because of how bad the dating market is and how bad gender relations are. If every young man, had a, satisfying sexual and romantic relationship, porn use would be way, way, way down. All right? Because it just wouldn't really be necessary. And, this is something tradcons, will kind of ignore, but it's true. So I really think that people are kind of missing the forest for the trees when they try and pin society's ills on pornography. But like I said, in this case, it's bad because they want more censorship than just pornography. Like I said, they got GTA 5 removed from Kmart. That's a bit of a big thing. And even then, this isn't the only thing. Like, you're seeing a sort of big censorship push all over the internet right now. A big push to censor the internet. Like, let's go over... I got some V tweets right here. This is the Romanian guy. Maybe you've seen him. He's got some stuff on here I'll go through. So, let's start with this one. Things you've missed. So, we'll talk about this. UK talks about banning... Actually, I'll talk about this first. Repeal the Online Safety Act. Yeah, so the UK passed their Online Safety Act, and this comes in, and they're all like, kids these days, we can't let these kids keep going on these porn sites, because, I'm sure you guys know, when you go to a porn site, it's like, are you 18? Yeah, of course I am, and that's it, It's a little laissez-faire. But, so they're like, okay, we gotta stop these kids from going on these porn sites. Here's the solution. Now when you want to go on a porn site, you need to send them, like, a picture of your face and your government ID. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to. Send them your government ID, I'm pretty sure. And, look, the reason why this is a problem, okay, is because... because people say this, of course you should show ID if you want to go to a porn site. You have to show ID if you want to buy a porn movie at a shop. And the difference is that, let's say I go to a porn shop and I buy a pornographic film, right? I show them my ID, they look at my ID, they give it back to me, and then I leave the store. When you go to one of these websites, you go there, you give them, you take a picture of your ID, you send it to them, and then they have that in their database forever. The equivalent would be like, if you go to a porn store IRL, they don't take a picture of your ID and then put it in a drawer in the back. That's basically what's happening online with these kinds of rules. And a big sort of problem with this is that it kind of just leads to docs. And the worst part is with Twitter, actually. Twitter now actually requires you to frickin' send in your ID for this because of just how the way the rules work. So, let's see, actually. Anyways, though, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, but like I said, though, imagine this. Okay, you want to go on Twitter, and you want to post some edgy content. All right, you really want to give Twitter your freaking government ID. All right, this kind of kills Smurf accounts for a lot of websites, actually. Because, I don't know, do you have to, I guess you don't have to, I mean, I'm not sure if it's all websites. I don't know, let's see. But anyways, we'd have to see where it goes. And look, this has been very unpopular because rightfully so, people are very concerned about, privacy, security, freedom. And it has... So, repeal the Online Safety Act. We want the government to repeal the Online Safety Act. 376,000 signatures, so quite a lot. And as you can see, the government responded. The government is working with Ofcom to ensure that online in-scope services are subject to robust but proportionate regulation. I guess this is the whole thing, but I think I have the most thing. But basically, all the government said in response was, get bent, we're not going to repeal it. And that was basically it. And this is becoming kind of a problem because this is also spreading. The US has their own similar version of the act that's currently being proposed called the Kids Online Safety Act, which is basically the same thing. So that creates an even bigger concern. Oh man, and I saw this kind of funny too. Help, it's fucking happening. I can't buy a fucking house because it's 20 times my salary. Every single woman is fucking fat and fucking Jamal and Mohammed. It rains every single fucking day. Fucking pint is 7 fucking pounds, mate. That's literally fucking raping my arse. Now the only fucking thing is porn that is free. They have my fucking shitty salary and tax, and now they took the fucking porn. That's so fucking funny. But it's true though, it's fucking true. You can't have shit these days, man. Anyways though, we'll go over some of this. So, and it's even more stuff. So, this is V, he's the Romanian guy. But things you've missed, UK talked about banning VPNs. Russia talked about banning VPNs. Now, this isn't really as surprising. Cloudflare asked to ban VPNs in UK. Kids bypass the age verification with AI-generated pictures or Fortnite characters, making people believe that in the future facial scan will be removed in favor of ID. Yeah, this is 100% true. Like, whenever I hear this AI face verification, it's obviously not going to work, man. Okay, there's just way too many loopholes. So, you're going to get rid of that. They're just going to force you to freaking send your ID to one of these places. Itch.io removed thousands of games. Horror games are now banned. Yeah, Fear and Hunger got banned. Mouthwash didn't. Collective Shout claims innocence. They never wanted this. Ask people to stop engaging with them. Not how it works. EU is patching a Digital Safety Act next year, which is the reason the sites are restricted. Australia's passing an Act 2, which is just as rhetoric as the UK one. Protests and anti-immigration topics, including a speech in the UK Parliament by a politician labeled not safe for kids, despite kids at the age of 16 will be able to vote in the UK. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind too. Like, imagine you need your ID to browse the internet. You know, this is the kind of shit Jordan Peterson wanted because he was pissed at anti-Semites making fun of him online. All right, remember when frickin' Gavin McInnes was getting pissed about Anon anime profile picture, Anon accounts with anime profile pictures? But this is the whole thing. In the UK, you get fucking arrested for saying you're against immigration on Twitter. But now you can't even use a fucking Smurf account because they're probably going to fucking require you to verify that shit with government ID. This is the whole thing. You can come in with Protect the Kids, and really, look, I don't want little kids watching porn. Who the fuck would? But the whole thing is that it should really be the responsibility of the parents. This is honestly such a big problem with our society is we just have so many apathetic parents. I mean, you ever go to, whatever, the grocery store, anywhere in public, and you'll see, like, these kids, like 4 years old maybe, let's say, and they're in a stroller on a freaking iPad. Are you kidding me, man? Yeah, it's just a disgrace. I mean, these fucking parents just can't even be bothered, you know? And I mean, look, it was one thing for the boomers to, let this fly under the radar. Okay, they didn't know any better, even though they really should have, but they didn't know any better. But if you're 30, okay, I mean, you have some experience with the internet at that point. And why the fuck are you going to let your 5-year-old go on it unsupervised? Are you insane? Or are you just negligent, stupid? Whatever, though. Anyways, though, I love how all the pieces of technology made today is designed to spy and monitor you. Go online, dox yourself, forced to go to Windows 11, constant screenshot of your screen. Oh yeah, remember that. Buy AAA game, make an online-only account, chat monitored. Ubisoft reports you to the cops for hate speech. Social media, AI monitors everything you upload, scrapes for everything you post. This is true. You know how YouTube deletes, like edgy comments? I'm sure you guys have seen this. You'll write a comment that's too edgy, and then YouTube automatically deletes it. You have all this AI moderation bullshit. Buy PlayStation, AI monitors every conversation you make, listens for hate speech, Ring camera, cops can demand access to the footage, cashless societies, payment processors, and banks control every single transaction. So he's just sort of going off on how things could go, and a lot of this is already coming true, or most of it's coming true, actually, but besides that, and we'll just go over this last one, too. This has been the most painful and difficult I told you so I ever said. For the last year, I constantly defended porn from outright ban because I explained how this exact thing will happen. This came at great reputational damage to myself. I've been accused of being a gooner or cum-brained and other insults. Turns out I was right. It was never about porn. It was about controlling the narrative, controlling the search results people see, preventing people from accessing information regarding recent events like illegal migration and protests. The purpose was always to get adults to dox themselves, to self-censor, and to be afraid of speaking out against the establishment. This is why I've always been, well, of a deep seething disdain towards moral busybodies and Karens, people who are not related to you by blood, are not your friends, but to lecture you because they know better. By allowing the moral busybodies to shame you into submission, whether they were left-wing or right-wing, moral enforcers, you have always allowed the politicians to make it more difficult for you to access the internet and organize any type of dissent. Now, that's pretty much just true. But anyways, though, it's a bit of a black pill. I don't know. What else did I have on here? Trying to force American sites to censor themselves. But yeah. Oh, this is interesting. We will be monitoring Rumble's position carefully. So, what, now the UK wants to force... Now the UK, with their fucking bullshit Online Safety Act, is trying to get Rumble shut down or whatever. Or Rumble more censored, which is basically... like, I guess the main YouTube alternative that exists right now. I mean, there's Odyssey and BitChute, but... okay, BitChute's a fucking disaster. Does anybody... does anybody actually use BitChute or Odyssey or Rumble? Maybe Rumble, but... I only ever go to Odyssey to watch, like, a specific content creator I like there. But anyways... what was this about? Oh, yeah, this guy's complaining about that, but... anyways, though, man, what else do I got here? Oh, yeah, did I talk about this? Collective Shout. So, yeah, Collective Shout, these virtuous, these righteous feminists who are just campaigning against the objectification of women and sexualization of girls. They gave a glowing review of Cuties. Cuties, an ethically problematic but powerful protest against the sexualization of girls. Yeah, Cuties, the literal softcore CP movie, is getting a glowing review from the people who are against sexualizing girls, apparently. I mean, I'm feeling like fucking Sam Hyde right now. Frickin' the sexualization of young girls is getting to the point in our society where even I am starting to have a problem with it. Anyways, oh, this was funny. This was pretty funny. Yeah, and did I show this? Yeah, pornography does not merely depict violence against women, it is violence against women. Yeah, I'm sure. Anyways, though, but yeah, they act so virtuous, so they're very obsessed with trying to get porn games removed from Steam. If they really cared about the sexualization of young girls, I mean, maybe they would start trying to crack down on these child marriages that are still happening in the Middle East. I mean, Yemen, 7% by 15, 30% by 18. Iraq, 7% by 15, 28% by 18. Hey, you can go to this map and see. Let's look here. Yeah, Yemen. See, look at those numbers. 1.3 million. Married at 18. Man, look at those numbers for Niger. Not looking so good, huh? Yeah, but we have all this going on still. But, frickin' selling goon games on Steam. Now, that's where you really got to direct the resources. And there's some other funny stuff, too. Like, this guy was in the news a while back when mouthwashing got popular. He was the composer who was super woke, and he was bitching that Asmongold defended somebody who was getting harassed for making fan art. And now he goes on... and then he goes on Twitter, it's like, a fucking course mouthwashing got yoinked from Steam. And then there's also this John Del Alraz guy. He's like... he's frickin', anyways, I'm not really even gonna talk. It's telling that every anti-woke influencer is going all in defending this SJW game from getting delisted, but they all stayed 100% silent when Andy Pants games got removed. Honestly, I'm just gonna say Andy Pants Gaming's game honestly kind of deserved to get removed because it actually did violate Steam's TOS. Not because it was freaking anti-woke. All right, it did actually have copyright infringement, and apparently it also had like AI generated CP, which would have been wild. I'm not sure if you can actually play the game, but I mean, holy shit, that would be, yeah, no freaking wonder. But anyways, John Dale Alraz, he's another one of these trad cucks, I guess. But anyways, though, we'll have to see ultimately where this goes. I'm really against, games getting censored, right? Like, it's one thing, these freaking porn games, losing the porn games isn't really the end of the world. But I mean, look, it's going to end up spreading to, all kinds of games. Basically anything they find problematic, I'm sure they'd want to remove. Like I said, they're like, oh, we don't want to remove all porn from Steam, but you're trying to remove all porn from X. You think porn is immoral and abhorrent no matter what. So why wouldn't you want to remove it from Steam? Ultimately, I'm sure they do. But like I said, with this kind of stuff, you normally do it in waves. So their whole strategy is, they start with the worst stuff, and then eventually they're going to come back, and they're going to push the envelope more. I'd say in their next push, they'd probably go after just all NSFW content. They'll probably win. I mean, if they succeed in getting porn removed from X, I'm sure they're going to succeed in getting porn removed from Steam. So, like I said, we can do what we can to fight back against this. And then there's also the stuff with how all the governments of the world are working to try and censor the internet, make it less free. And like I said, there's really not that much we can do about it. We can send letters to these payment processors, whatever, right? We can try and get the government to make laws, limiting what payment processors are allowed to do. But I mean, how much does it really matter? I mean, this petition got 376,000 signatures, and the response from the UK government was go kick rocks. So it really is an unfortunate situation, but this video's going on pretty long. I'll cut it off here. But anyways, comment down below what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content in the future. Thank you guys all for watching, and goodbye.